Не будем изменять традициям, несмотря на то, что мы в Лондоне, все равно интервью сотрудника без кофе проходить не должно. Итак, это моя постоянная рубрика «Встреча с интересным человеком», назовем ее так. Сегодня у нас London Edition этого выпуска, и со мной Джон, наш CEO. Переключаюсь на английский язык. So, this is John. You already met him. I told about him in a couple of videos, and I think you were featured in one of the video from our office. So John is CEO of a company, and he joined us a year ago. And why I decided to have this conversation right now is because a couple of days ago we received an email from FCA, the one that we waited for last 12 months, that said that we got authorization and now we can issue credit for UK consumers. And this is a great achievement which were led by John, and he was the main force behind this project. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about your career path as a whole and the last 12 months, how they different from what you did your career. So could you tell a little bit about how you came into fintech and finance as a whole?
Okay, well, I've had 20 years in the UK industry. So starting with the American company Capital One, which was a kind of a startup, not a fintech, but it was there. A number of years at Barclaycard, which was probably the biggest UK credit card provider, but a traditional business of Barclays. And then 5 years I've had at another company called Vanquis Bank, who was a startup in 2002, and I was working with that business, scaled it up in order to get them to be a FTSE 100, so literally one of the biggest listed companies in the UK, worth about 5 billion at its peak. And I helped as a CTO of that business in order to get all their technology and their digital capability sorted for them. A kind of chance meeting a year ago, obviously with the team from Koto, is that kind of use that experience to kind of do another startup in order to get into the kind of fintech industry, and particularly into credit. And that's where we find ourselves today.
So when we met John, it was around a year ago, in the office of recruiting agency, and when he told us what he's doing now, that he is a CTO of quite a big bank, and with all his experience and previous with all you achieved in your resume, we thought that we could never hire such skilled person in a startup where only 3 of us were me, Dima, and Simon. We didn't even have an office back then. But
the coffee shop was great.
Yeah, we work in the coffee shop. Yeah, but so my question to you: when we had that meeting 12 months ago, now like a year passed. How do you think? Like, how different was your expectations back then, and what changed within this 12 months?
Okay, well, when we met you, like I say, it was a bit of a leap of faith, most definitely. But yeah, I've wanted to kind of, I've got this desire to change things. You know, I want to leave a legacy in this world. You know, I've got admiration for people like Steve Jobs in the industry, and I look to people like this, and Elon Musk. And I'm thinking, should I be able to use my kind of capability and change the industry? And I can see weaknesses in the UK market. The legacy, the regulation, the 2008 market crash, Brexit, there are all issues that the bank's trying to deal with that kind of stifle ambition. Meeting you guys a year ago, I think we figured pretty much from the first moment that we've got a shared vision. Heard about this exciting business of Monobank, read it on the internet at the time, but they've got a cat, which I absolutely love a cat as well, and the kind of branding is there. And this vision to become a digital bank, going for something different, to me was kind of the sell point, because we've got a compared vision. A year on, what is changing in some ways? Well, you know, it's been a very fun 12 months, I have to say. Some good, some bad. Probably the biggest key thing is getting the FCA license. We already knew to get that, and probably surprised how difficult it's been to get that, and also just the viewpoints of how people see, particularly from a company coming into the UK who's not UK bound, some of the challenges that's faced. But to be able to sit in the office with three of you, because there was three of us at that time, trying to kind of think of everything, not just technology, but the regulation, finance. There's a huge things to consider, which, you know, I've loved it because it's kind of challenged the brain in order to do so, but you need a certain self-discipline, and I've probably, what's one of the biggest things I've taken away from the last 12 months is having to keep focused, particularly when you're having to ring into comfort to the regulator in this case and say, you're in a queue, we'll get back to you when we're ready, and you don't know when. And that has been a very hard thing to get over.
Что ты думаешь о Джоне?
Я думаю, что Джон отличный специалист. Это самое главное, у него огромный опыт, и он знает кучу инсайтов про то, как пользователи здесь используют банки, и вообще как относятся к деньгам, потому что здесь люди к деньгам относятся совершенно иначе.
Спасибо, Кирилл. Возвращаемся к Джону. If tomorrow, let's say, Times will come with a story about me being drunk in some gala evening with throwing money in the air or something like that, so doing something reckless, and I'm as authorized person, FCA authorized person, they could revoke my authorization, and effectively the company would have to fire me or move me to some minor role. Right?
That is possible, yeah. If they honestly believe that the conduct of the individual was reflected on the company behaviour and its style, or certainly detriment to the customers, then they would certainly, well, the first would probably warn you. I mean, they're not reckless. But the point is that they would actually want to look at that and decide whether that is somebody who's fit to run a financial organisation in the UK. And depending on obviously what they would find, yes, they could actually ask us to change the position you're in, or in some cases, yes, you would not be fit to run purpose of business. The FCA, you know, I say not reckless, they're not looking to penalise anybody and to stifle good business, particularly fintechs. I mean, London is full of them, but they want to make sure that the people know what it is they're signing up to. And the clue is the financial conduct authorities, the conduct being the way you do things, and that's what they're interested in doing. And as you say, if it was reckless, let's say he was filtering the customer's money, and sitting there swimming in it and putting it on a video on YouTube or anything else, maybe there's something we'd have to talk about.
One last thing, like, not about the regulation, but more relaxed. It's also part of my usual conversation with colleagues. What are your hobbies outside the work?
What do you mean I have any time outside work and land?
Yeah, the test.
Well, I mean, two key things. I mean, if I really get the time, I'm actually an ex-musician, so I've did a lot of things with keyboards, drums, and we got to chat about drumming last night. But I have a studio at home that is currently collecting dust because I'm working permanently at Koto at the moment, and the other reason it's layering dust is because for a hobby I've rebuilt my house completely. One of the things you'll figure out if you ever come to London, as I found, is that the price of houses is about 3 times as much as anywhere else in the UK. So I figured is find a plot, find a scruffy old house and rebuild it, which is what I've done. I spent a lot of hours. I wouldn't say it's a hobby, it's a
second job.
The second job of the weekends is to do this, work on Koto every breathing of the hour, and then if we get an hour every few months, I might play on a keyboard or a guitar if necessary.
So you're ready for it? Was a prep for the future television interview. So now you're ready.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.